Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back. It's Monday, July 13th, and it's 10:06 p.m. Eastern Time. I am getting a bit of a late start, but just to update you, those of you that follow me regularly, my stepfather is doing very, very well after a surgery. So thank you, everyone that took the time to pray for him. I appreciate it. All right, well, we're going to get into the news tonight. So we're going to jump over here. And this is kind of a hodgepodge of things today because my time was so broken up among other things that I had to do that I kind of didn't get it as well organized as it should be. But let's just go through it as we do and take it as it comes. And I do want to thank Andy Hendricks. Thank you so much. He donated via coffee and picked up another Patreon subscriber, Judy Moore. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that more than you guys know, especially right now because times are hard for everyone. So, and I totally get that. So anyway, I also wanted to show you this again for you guys, and I will leave the link pinned to the first comment so that you guys can visit this on your own. And these are some items that I have just recently designed. And I noticed that I had a woman's premium V-neck for the Trump silhouette, but I didn't have a men's shirt. So there's now a man's shirt down here. And also, this is new. And I think that there's both male and female, but I thought this would appeal more to maybe the men because it's a little bit more masculine. And it says, Guardian of Freedom, fight for your nation. Freedom is not free. National patriotism. It says MAGA up here, and down here it says America First. All right, so there's that, and also I did a cloth face mask with the United States on it. I may have had that yesterday. And what else do we have here? Everything else is, oh, this is like a die cut sticker that you can, you know, it's magnetized with the same Patriot badge there, and also a cloth face mask for that. So, and you can order these in different colors and sizes and what have you. So I'm going to be designing some more as I have time. So just keep checking back because there'll be new product. And if you have a suggestion, let me know because it's once the design's done, I can put it on just about anything. So just let me know. All right. Well, let's go on with the news now because I'm pretty sure that's why you're here. All right. Well, let's just start here and work our way down. So, yeah, this is interesting. It says, look who has an ankle bracelet. And let's hit on this, and it's clear here, and I'm sorry for you tiny phone people because you may not be able to see it very clearly, but this is definitely an ankle bracelet. There is no ifs, ands, or buts in my mind. That's an ankle bracelet. And he seems to be sporting it along with other stars such as Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, David Spade, there's others. So yeah, wanted to show you that, and let's go on. And yes, it says Hanks, Ellen, Oprah, and Spade have them on too. I'm sure lots of others as well. Either way, something's going on we don't know about yet. And that is true. These people are being tracked and monitored, so they are obviously in some sort of trouble or they would not be wearing ankle bracelets. So this is, and we've seen this one of Ellen before, no doubt about it. Somebody tried to tell me that was a pack of playing cards, and no, it isn't, because she's got it on in other pictures as well. And David Spade as well is wearing one. So yeah, there is something going on. I think there's a heck of a lot more going on behind the scenes than we're aware of. And I'm hoping to be able to talk to you about Nasara and Gassara shortly. I am gathering a lot of information. At first, I poo-pooed it and I didn't really want to even investigate it. And then when I did, I felt like an absolute fool for not looking into it sooner. Because yes, it really is something, and I think it's really happening, and I think that it's about to happen. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, that's great, because all debt will be forgiven. Well, student loan, mortgages, so forth, it'll probably go in stages. And people are saying, hey, that's great. Well, I'm not of that same persuasion. I think there are good things to it, but what the end game is for it is not good. So we're going to discuss that soon, as soon as I have time to finish my research on it. And I'm getting close. Okay, now let's go back here. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to gather to do shows on, but it's hard to keep up with, just staying up with all the news that happens in a day. That's a task. Really it is, because I read a wide variety of sources and so forth, and gather things that I think you'll be interested in, or things that are pertinent to the types of things we follow. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and there's more than any one person can cover. And that's why I encourage people that, yeah, you should be listening to other YouTubers as well that you trust. Because there's some really good ones out there. I listen to X22. There's quite a few that I check in on regularly that I may not necessarily follow every single podcast they do or video cast, but because I can't. I just don't have that many hours in a day. But there's some that are really good, and I would encourage you to go out and seek them out. If you want, I can provide you, perhaps, if it's something that you guys are really wanting to know, I can provide you a list of people that I listen to and that I think are safe and that are speaking the truth. But again, that is just my opinion. All right, well, let's take a look at this, posted by Beach Milk. And for some reason, I like that name, Beach Milk. New statue unveiled in Latvia, designed to hype eternal coronavirus fear and reinforce the wearing of masks to conform with government orders. Now, let's look at this. It's a little creepy if you ask me, but then maybe that's just my opinion. Now, hang on, I want to make sure that I have this. Yep, okay. All right, just don't want you guys to miss it. Now, here's something I want you to notice here. This just looks like it's kind of an ambiguous figure. Like you would think these are breasts, but maybe not quite. A very odd, ambiguous body here, and looks like an Adam's apple, and yet very much female. So I'm thinking this kind of falls in with their, kind of blending the sexes. And that's something that I spoke about to my friends and so forth years and years ago. Gosh, it's probably 20 years ago. And I noticed that they were pushing the trans agenda. They were pushing the LBT whatever. I can never remember all the letters, and they keep adding more. But anyway, I remember thinking, well, that makes sense, because the New World Order is going to, the religion of the New World Order is going to be Luciferianism. Now, I have studied that for many, 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 many years. And there's no doubt in my mind that, and a lot of proof, it's going to be Luciferian. And you will have to take a pledge or a oath to this new system. It will be a Luciferian oath of allegiance to the new system. And it's interesting that they had a list. Actually, Alice Bailey came up with this list of 9 items that had to occur before the New World Order could be instigated. And I'm probably going to be bringing that to you. I'm going to be talking about Luciferianism and how to recognize it, because it's getting so out in the open now, but people don't recognize it because they have these words like, for example, there are Luciferian churches that you would walk in and you would swear that this is a normal church. They're preaching the gospel. When they're saying Lord, they're not talking about our Lord. They're talking about Lucifer. So, and one of his agendas is to blur the line between the sexes, because you realize Baphomet is both male and female. And that has been one of the goals, is to blur the lines between the sexes. And that is exactly what's happening through a number of ways. I mean, they're doing it through putting things in our food and stuff, like hormones and things, growth hormones and stuff. They give it to the animals, it passes it on, and men are especially sensitive to female hormones. And what happens is the men are becoming feminized, and that's just one thing of a lot. Anyway, I know I'm rambling, but I've got so much up here and I want to get it all out, and I just can't in one video. But anyway, this to me is just a monument to the New World Order, to Luciferianism, because the lines are blurred here. You cannot tell if this is male or female. Even down here, you can't tell. They have like a belly, but you know, and these look like breasts, but they're not big enough to be breasts. They look like a man who, you know, well, you know. Anyway, let's continue looking at this. And see from here, it's like you would think that this is a female, but again, the body's ambiguous and has an Adam's apple. And that's not the point of this. The point is that they are erecting these shrines to coronavirus, and they want us all to worship at the feet of this coronavirus. And, you know, maybe I haven't come right out and told you what I feel, but this is a giant psyop. I don't believe there is a virus, yes, but a lot of what we're hearing and experiencing and seeing is fake. It is exactly when Mike Pompeo, he said this on film, actually on video. He said, this is a real world exercise. And Donald Trump behind him said, well, it would have been nice for you to let us know. And when he said that, that kind of, it's always stuck there. And I keep thinking about that. Why would he say that? Yeah, it's an exercise, all right. It's an exercise for something worse that's coming. And this is the way that they will bring about their New World Order. Because look at the changes that have been instituted. Just since, my gosh, we're living in a different world since Christmas, last Christmas. Totally different world. Well, even since New Year's. It's a totally different world. And we absolutely obey whatever they tell us because, well, it's all in the interest of survival. It's all in the interest of, you know, stopping this virus. But is it? Of course it isn't. And now they have the excuse that, well, money's dirty, it carries germs, and people might have sneezed on it, or they might have touched their mouths, and then they're handling it, and then they're passing it along. So, yeah, we'll need a different form of currency, of course. Anyway, I know I hope I'm making sense. So yeah, that's that. And I don't know about you, but it gives me the creeps. All right, now let's go back. Lots to get to here. And this is from Donald J. Trump. So hard to watch Fox News anymore. They are working so hard against the people, viewers that got them there. Their contributors are a disaster and all over the place. The radical left has scared Fox into submission, just like they have so many others. Sad, but we will win. And let's come down here. And this is right in line with what I've been saying. Africa to become testing ground for trust stamp, vaccine record and payment system. Like I said, this is what's coming. This is the means by which they are bringing this in. Gassara is all part of this. They need that reset. The world, we could not bring the world together without this global reset. It's Nasara when it's talking about North America. It is Gasara when you're talking about globally. So it is the plan to have a financial reset, basically, and they're crashing the economy to make that possible. So let's come down here. A new biometric identity platform partnered with the Gates-funded Gavi Vaccine Alliance and MasterCard will launch in West Africa and combine COVID-19 vaccinations, cashless payments, and potential law enforcement applications. Well, isn't that special? I also just, the ID system that China uses, and, they'll see, the camera can hone in on somebody in a crowd and be able to tell within seconds who that person is. Well, apparently they now have a system for churches, and there are, I think, 31, if I'm not mistaken, churches in the United States that have this system. Now, these are very large mega churches, which I don't trust, and I am a born again Christian. I believe in God. I believe the Bible is the word of God, but a lot of these mega churches are Luciferian, and I know that for a fact. I lived it. So anyway, they have this system now, and they'll be able to tell if you were in church on Sunday. And of course, they frame it in a way that, well, if a parishioner isn't there on Sunday, then you can follow up and ask if they're ill or whatever. Also, you can identify people or people that maybe are new or whatever. But nobody can convince me that they're using that for a good purpose. No, they're not. All right, let's go on with this. A biometric digital identity platform that evolves just as you evolve is set to be introduced in low-income remote communities in West Africa thanks to public-private partnership between Bill Gates-backed Gavi Vaccine Alliance, MasterCard, and the AI-powered identity authentication company Trust Stamp. So, yeah, and notice that Bill Gates has always used Africa for the testing ground. Yeah, talk about Black Lives Matter. Well, in that case, yes, they absolutely do matter, but not to Bill Gates. They're expendable. They're just poor Black people. So I guess, we can do whatever we want. We can experiment on them. We can inject them with deadly vaccines. And, oh well, oops, they died. And we know that they've died, like huge numbers of people have died in Africa via Bill Gates' vaccine. In fact, he's not well regarded in Africa at all. So, because they know when Bill Gates is there, and this is what they say, our babies die. When Bill Gates comes, our babies die. Anyway, the program, which was first launched in late 2018, will see Trust Stamp's digital identity platform integrated into the Gavi MasterCard Wellness Pass, a digital vaccination record and identity system that is also linked to MasterCard's Click to Play system that powered by its AI and machine learning technology called New Data. MasterCard, in addition to professing its commitment to promoting centralized record keeping of childhood immunization, MasterCard, yeah, they're going to keep track of the centralized record keeping for childhood immunization. Yeah, what could go wrong? Gee, what could go wrong? See how this is all going to be tied in with financial? You don't have your vaccines? What's going to happen? Maybe you won't be able to work. Maybe you won't be able to go to school. Maybe your child won't be able to go to school. Maybe you won't be able to fly or take a bus or take a train. Who knows? Not that far out there. Okay. In addition to professing its commitment to promoting centralized record keeping of childhood immunization, also describes itself a leader toward a world beyond cash. Now, ding, 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 ding. That's what should be happening in your head right now. A world without cash, a world beyond cash. That's what they're bringing in. and its partnership with Gavi marks a novel approach towards linking biometric digital identity system, vaccination records, and a payment system into a single cohesive platform. The effort, since its launch nearly 2 years ago, has been funded via $3.8 million in Gavi donor funds, in addition to a match donation of the same amount by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Well, you know that they're always going to be in there like a dirty little shirt, right? When anything like this is being developed, because that's what they're all about. Depopulation and world government. That's what they're about. That's what they're all about. In early June, Gavi reported that MasterCard's Wellness Pass program would be adapted in response to the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Around a month later, MasterCard announced that TrustStamp's biometric identity platform would be integrated into Wellness Pass, as TrustStamp's system is capable of providing biometric identity in the areas of the world lacking internet access or cellular connectivity, and also does not require knowledge of an individual's legal name or identity to function. The wellness program involving Gavi, MasterCard, and TrustStamp will soon be launched in West Africa and will be coupled with a COVID-19 vaccination program once a vaccine becomes available. And we know that's going to happen. So, yeah, mass tracking COVID Pass immunity passport slated to roll out in 15 countries. COVID Pass will determine whether you can go to a restaurant if you need a medical test or are due for a talking to by authorities in a post-COVID world. Consent is voluntary, but enforcement will be compulsory. Bill Gates, COVID Pass, COVID-19, digital health passport, privacy, surveillance, and tracking. The push to implement biometrics as part of a national ID registration system has been ongoing for many years on the continent and has become a highly politicized issue in several African countries. Opposition to similar projects in Africa also revolve around the costs surrounding them, such as a biometric voter management system that the Electoral Commission of Ghana has been trying to implement ahead of their 2020 general election in December. Bright Simmons, honorary VP of the Imani policy think tank, has questioned the budgetary allocation for the new system, claiming that the unnecessary registration of 17 million people all over again represents millions of dollars being blown for reasons that no one can explain in this country. Yeah, no one can explain it, because you think they're going to give you the real reason why this is so important to get everybody registered, everybody in a computer system, everybody's records, whether they've been immunized, whether they've had a COVID test recently, what the results were, it'll all be there. So if you've, not had a COVID test, but possibly they'll know if you rub shoulders or are in close proximity to anyone that has it because of their, what do they call that? Contact tracing. So, yeah, and then they'll say, well, I'm sorry, we're going to confine you to your house and you're going to be on house arrest. Or they may not go that far. They may just say, well, I'm sorry, you can't eat in this restaurant because it shows that you've been in contact with someone with COVID. Or I'm sorry, you can't shop here because you've been in contact with someone. This is not way out there at all. And I think probably most of you reasonable people can see that. Masking ulterior motive, TrustStamp's biometric identity system, largely funded by MasterCard's massive investment in the company in February, utilizes a technology it calls, listen to this, evergreen hash. Evergreen. Where have we heard that before? Right. Yeah. Well, that, number one, it was Hillary's code name for the Secret Service code name, and also there was an airline that was involved in trafficking called Evergreen. Anyway, it calls Evergreen hash that creates an AI-generated 3D mask based on a single photo of a person's face, palm, or fingerprint. Once this mask is created, much of the original data is discarded and encryption keys are created in place of a person's name or other more traditional identifiers. That's why if you're a criminal and you're going by a bunch of different IDs, It's going to know who you are really by your facial data. Only a small percentage of the data that originally existed in the hash, Trust Stamp CEO Gareth Jenner has stated, what you have is something safer for storing because it can't be used to directly identify you. Oh, yeah, but it can't be used by who? I'm sure that it will be used by the government. No one would recognize you in this huge jumble of numbers. The result, according to Jenner, is an irreversible, non-personally identified information system that protects privacy. Sure. Where have we heard that before? Oh, your privacy is protected. Sure it is. Reduce potential for misuse and allow effective inclusion where there is no other form of legal record. Jenner also explained in recent press release that the unique hash is capable of evolving as a new hash with updated health information is created every time a child or individual gets a vaccine. Trust Stamp's AI algorithms can accurately determine if different hashes belong to the same individual, meaning that the hash evolves over time just as you evolve, says Jenner. And I don't think we need to know all that, but let's move down to this. Dual use tyranny. Trust Stamp also shares this market-focused vision for its digital identity system, as the company has stated that it is looking for new commercialization options for its evergreen hash technology, specifically with prison systems. Talks with private and public prison systems have revealed an interest in their utilization of Trust Stamp's technology to provide identification for individuals on parole without making them pay for pricey ankle bracelets that monitor their every move, as Trust Stamp's platform would ostensibly provide that same function, but in a touchless and less expensive manner. Trust Stamp's interest in providing its technology to both COVID-19 response and to law enforcement is part of a growing trend where numerous companies providing digital solutions to COVID-19 also offer the same solutions to prison systems and law enforcement for the purposes of surveillance and predictive policing. So let's move down here. I think that we are pretty much able to extrapolate from the information that we have here so far and know what they are planning, which it's no surprise. It's no surprise at all. They need to be able to control the people on this planet, and they need less people so they're better able to control those people in a one world government system. There'll probably still be countries, but it'll be kind of like, you have the United States and then you have in each individual states, but they are the United States. There is a bunch of different states, all as one. And that's how the world will be governed. The countries will be different states and it will be united worldwide. And if you think that's a good thing, you better think again. All right. Okay. Oh, I have so much information to get out there, but I can't just spew it all out at once or I'd lose everybody. Probably go, she's crazy. Crazy like a fox. All right. Let's look at this. Ghislaine Maxwell has tapes of two. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard this. And actually, we probably have looked at this before, now that I think about it, because it's not all that new. Ghislaine Maxwell has tapes of two prominent U.S. politicians having sex with minors and boasted of owning powerful people, former friends, and jewel thief claims. Former friend of the couple claimed they wanted to convince him of their power. He said he saw clips of celebrities and world figures having orgies with minors. It follows Ghislaine Maxwell, 58, being arrested in New Hampshire last Thursday. The socialite will appear in New York Southern District Court on July 14th. Now, here's the thing. Everybody that visited that island, okay, they weren't there to just enjoy some sun and sand and surf. No. They went there for a specific purpose, and that was to interact with the many underage boys and girls there, and they were taped because every single room had recording device that they were unaware of. So, he and she, Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein, were blackmailing the most powerful people on the planet. Hollywood stars, politicians, you name it. If they were somebody in this world, they were blackmailed. So who knows what treasure trove of videos they actually have. And I don't think she would be stupid enough to destroy those, because those are her escape hatch. You harm me, the video gets out there. She probably has a dead man switch, meaning that if she dies, it all goes out. I don't know that for sure, but if you had that type of information on someone and knew that they knew and wanted you dead, would you just erase all that? Of course not. All right, so let's go back here and go on. Now, here's another piece of ridiculousness. This is a press release, July 13th, 2020, statement from the Washington Redskins football team. On July 3rd, we announced the commencement of a thorough review of the team's name. That review has begun in earnest. As part of the process, we want to keep our sponsors, fans, and community apprised of our thinking as we go forward. Today, we are announcing we will be retiring the Redskins name and logo upon completion of this review. Dan Snyder and Coach Rivera are working closely to develop a new name and design approach that will enhance the standing of our proud tradition, rich franchise, and inspire other sponsors, fans, and community for the next 100 years. All right. I am not one that subscribes to that. I don't know, really. I really haven't heard of people that were really irate and offended over this. I mean, not the social justice warriors. I'm talking about actual Native Americans. I haven't heard them speak out about it. If they have, then I've missed it. But yeah, they are just like in the book 1984. They're reinventing our language, and there's a reason for that. Okay, Dr. Fauci, Melinda Gates, and Barack Obama at the Wuhan lab in 2015. Yes. There's Dr. Fauci, there's Melinda Gates, there's Barack Obama, and this looks like a researcher of some magnitude. You mean this Dr. Fauci who was with Obama in 2015 in the Wuhan lab, where they paid the lab $3.7 million for a bat project? We know that that doesn't make sense. We know that will now, right? Anyway, he is of the deep state. You get your instructions from him, cut the crap, all to take Trump down. Well, yes, it is all to take Trump down, and more. All right, let's go here. We're going to start getting into something that we discussed yesterday about the online retailer. Okay, this by Electric Angel 69. I know she is a listener to our show because she always reposts the programs, and a lot of times if I forget to post it on Twitter, I'll just retweet hers because she always posts it. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is the board of directors of the online retailer that we were discussing yesterday. Michael Fleischer, chief financial officer. Look at this. Michael's previous business experience includes roles at Bain Capital and Bain and Company. Keep that in mind. Let's go to the next. And Kate Gulliver, Vice President, Global Head of Talent. Previously, Kate worked as an investor for nearly 5 years at Bain Capital, the Boston-based private equity. That's coincidence. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. And Grace Heinz, Vice President of Global Merchandising. Prior to joining the online retailer, she was a partner at Bain & Company in their consumer products practice. At Bain, she led consulting projects focused on strategy, pricing, supply chain, and M&A, manufacturing and, I don't know, M&A, among others. Oh, okay, well, it's just 3. Could be a coincidence. Oh, who's this? Lisa Lefkowski. She is the Vice President, Global Brand, Creative, and Curated Merchandising. Prior to joining the online retailer, Lisa was a principal in the private equity and retail practices at Bain & Company. I'm noticing a trend here. So, naturally, this bears looking into further, which I did. And let's come down here. Oh yes, and look at this one. Let's make this bigger. This is the Vice President, John S. Kim, Vice President, Global Head of Algorithms and Analytics. Previously, he led the Clinton Health Access Initiative. Applied Analytics team. He also directed e-commerce for Horizon Hobby and worked as a consultant at Bain & Company. Gee, I'm seeing a trend here. Wow. Now, it'd be interesting to know that the head of Bain & Company was ousted in 2018 for gross wrongdoing. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I started to research it, but it was so in-depth that I was getting lost in it. But it had to do with South Africa and the revenue agency there, because he was also consulting with them. He was a consultant for them or whatever. He actually ran that, and there was a lot of outdoing. He was ousted in 2018. Maybe these people came with him because maybe they're all corrupt. I don't know. I'm just posturing it as a what if, but it is a fact that in 2018 he was ousted. Now we're going to find out a little bit more. Well, let's look at this. Bain Capital LP, founded 1984. That's an interesting year, 1984. Look who the founder is. Bill Bain and Mitt Romney. That's right. Bill Bain and Mitt Romney. Well, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure it's nothing that, all the higher ups in this online retailer formerly worked for Bain, and the founder was, in part, Mitt Romney. What do you bet he's involved somewhere in this? I'm thinking he probably is. So let's look at this. Ken Jones says, so Bain Capital and Clinton Initiative heavily involved with that online retailer. Soros also big investor in that online retailer. Connect the dots. Romney must be in there somewhere. I would agree. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, probably a duck. Okay, now let's look at this. Just digging a little deeper here. Romney's Bain Capital profited billions by bankrupting American workers. Really? You don't say. Now, this is older, but in light of what's coming out now, I think it bears looking into, don't you think? Now, this was the 5th of February, 2020, so not that old, but not the newest news on the block, but in light of everything coming out, I think this should be revisited. Senator Mitt Romney, investment firm Bain Capital, profited billions between 1992 and 1997 by collecting huge dividends for investors that eventually resulted in layoffs for thousands of American workers. How come we haven't heard about this? In 1984, Romney helped co-found Bain Capital, which made a series of investments in small and medium-sized American companies, only to turn a profit for investors and leave American workers without a job. Most prominent are 5 companies that Romney's Bain Capital invested in, reaping a profit for himself and investors, and then left to bankruptcy, layoffs, and closure. AOL Finance reported in 2012 on the financial devastation that Romney's Bain Capital put American workers through. In 1992, Romney's Bain Capital invested $5 million in American pad and paper and walked away with $100 million in dividends. Nearly 400 American workers in Marianne, Indiana were laid off in the process, and in 2000, the small company filed for bankruptcy. I really feel he didn't care about the workers. It was all about profit before people, a former worker at the plant, Randy Johnson, told People's World in 2012. Johnson said the layoffs, which began in the mid-1990s after Ampad acquired Romney's Bain Capital, bought the paper company. They quickly fired every single employee. They walked the fired workers out of the building, handing them applications as they left, telling the workers if they wanted to work for the new company, they were welcome to apply. Similarly, Romney's Bain Capital made an investment in Dade Behring, a manufacturing company that provided supplies for the medical diagnosis industry, of $415 million in 1994. Romney secured $1.78 billion in dividends for investors while the company filed for bankruptcy and laid off 2,000 American workers in Deerfield, Illinois, Glasgow, Delaware, Westwood, Massachusetts, Miami, Florida, and Puerto Rico. A number of former Dade Behring employees recalled to the New York Times how their lives were upended when their employers were acquired by Dade at the behest of Romney's Bain Capital. Cost-cutting became a mantra inside the company after his employee, DuPont, was bought by Dade. William T. Mowry, a field engineer, said his generous pension plan was replaced by a 401k. His salary was cut by $1 an hour, costing him $2,000 a year in income. When he filed for overtime, he said his new bosses refused to pay it. They were just trying to milk as much out of us as they could, he said. Emphasis added. Mr. Maury is now 54, quit. Many workers, like Mr. Shoemaker, the Dade employee in Westwood, and his wife, a temporary employee at the same plant, did not leave on their own terms. When they lost their jobs in 1997, they had to abandon plans to buy their first home together. It created a lot of stress, said Mr. Shoemaker, 59, who had earned more than $80,000 a year. Romney's Bain Capital also invested $47 million in the DDI Corporation in 1997 and profited nearly $90 million before the company filed for bankruptcy and laid off 2,100 American workers. In another case, Romney's Bain Capital invested $60 million in GS International in 1993, securing $65 million in profits before the company went bankrupt in 2002 and laid off 750 American workers. One of Romney's most destructive investments for American workers came when Bain Capital purchased Stage Stores in the late 1980s with a $5 million investment before taking the company public in 1996. In 2000, after Romney's Bain Capital profited at least $184 million, Stage Stores went bankrupt and close to 6,000 American workers were laid off, with more than 300 store locations closing. Almost all of the Stage Stores closed in Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and some 50 stores closed across Texas. Only after new management took over Stage Stores, long after Romney's Bain Capital's involvement, did the retail company begin growing again. So Bain Capital, I will tell you from what I have researched today, does not have a good reputation, and certainly not with the former, I guess he would have been the CEO, because this guy was ousted for corruption and many other things. All right, let's go back. And, okay, that's something completely different. So I guess that's all I have about that so far. I'm still looking into it though. There's something there. There's definitely something there. And I don't believe that it's just a glitch in the system. I really don't. And, oh, I hope I have this. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, this is the other thing. That's why I was thinking, oh, there's something more. It's this, and you got to see this. Now, we all have seen this before. We've seen this email. It's from, it's to John Podesta from Sandlerfoundation.org. Remember this email? Did you leave a handkerchief? Remember that? Mailed to John Podesta, sent Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014 at 9:29 p.m. It says, to Susan Sandler, copy Herbert Sandler, and the subject, you left something at the field house. The field house. Susan and Herb, I just came from checking the field house, and I have a square cloth handkerchief, white with black, that was left on the kitchen island. Happy to send it via the email if you let me know where I should send it. Now, why would he want that handkerchief back? Well, there's probably a reason, but this is the important part. And I've read this before, but now it brings a whole new connection. Okay. It says, I also meant to inquire yesterday about the pillows you purchased. I also meant to inquire yesterday about the pillows you purchased. Yeah. And goes on, I can send them as well if you let me know where they are in the house. That's a little strange, don't you think? I also meant to inquire yesterday about the pillows you purchased. I can send them as well if you let me know where they are in the house. Odd. Now, immediately my mind goes to those pillows that are $10,000 with different names on them, each attached to a missing child. I don't know. Then this is from Q, security cam footage of Epstein Island Dungeon. This is drop 3140. Epstein Island Dungeon beneath the temple. Sex and torture rooms openly flaunt across social media. Untouchable? Well, I guess we'll see. And of course, here is the president of operations, Bill Hutcherson, with Ghislaine. And over here, okay, of course, is just an example of, like here, this girl is Samara Duplass, and this is Duplass zodiac sign, astrological constellation, personalized throw pillow. Now, these names are, it's just weird. It's weird. And nobody can convince me that it's not. They're trying to say, oh, it's just glitch in the system or whatever. And people are starting to notice it on other sites. Somebody mentioned that they saw on Amazon something that was ridiculously overpriced. So if any of you guys are out there and looking and happen to see that, could you send it to me, because I would be interested in collecting some of these. Now, let's come up here and just going to touch on a couple more things before we end it today. And let's look at this. And I like this. Cruz to introduce bill holding local governors or local government, I'm not sure what they mean there, but liable to property owners if no police protection. So if you're not providing police protection and there's property damage, then you're liable because you should have provided police protection. So these places that are defunding the police, this bill would target that. And I think it's a good thing, because isn't that what we pay taxes for? The police, garbage pickup, roads, I mean, all this stuff. And police protection, I mean, what do you have if you don't have police? What do you have? You have complete anarchy. You know, somebody can break in your house, and I mean, if you don't have a gun or whatever, it's them or you. And you can call 911, but what are they going to do? Send a social worker? So, yeah. Anyway, I think this is a very, very good move. Senator Ted Cruz will introduce new legislation in the days ahead holding local governments, liable to property and business owners should they fail to provide adequate police protection. Minnesota Democrats willfully allowed Minneapolis to burn and then blamed the police whom they demonized. Now they want the federal government to pay the bill. Cruz said in a tweet on Sunday, "I'm introducing legislation to make local government liable to private property owners if officials deliberately withhold police protection." And we know they did that. I mean, they abandoned their own police precinct. They just left and let them do whatever they want. Burn it down, steal, whatever. So I think this is a very, very good idea. The vast majority of police officers are selfless, courageous public servants, Trump said earlier this month. They're great men and women. And I would have to agree with that. I think that there are more good cops than there are bad. It's just that the bad cops, it gets blown way up and everybody sees that when there's a bad cop because it's in the paper and it's spread all over. But there are good police doing good things every day that don't get noticed. So I tend to agree with that, and I think that that's a wonderful bill. Okay, and this by Bill de Blasio. Thank you, Lord, I don't live in New York City. Now, please, if you are a New Yorker, I'm not putting down your city at all. Not at all. It is not the people's fault. Not the people's fault. But I would not be wanting to be under this mayor because the man is... I don't believe he's stupid. I believe he's evil. And there's a big difference. Some people are just stupid. Like, they make decisions and they're not wise decisions. And then there are people like this that are just evil. He's evil. Now, this is what he said. "To whoever vandalized our mural on Fifth Avenue, nice try. New York City Department of Transportation has already fixed it." Yes, because that is the best use of the Department of Transportation, is fixing a big, monstrous Black Lives Matter mess on Fifth Avenue. Yes, that is their job. The Black Lives Matter movement is more than words, and it can't be undone. Yeah, right. Now, you know what would happen if somebody put White Lives Matter on a big street, like that, a famous street, Fifth Avenue of all streets? You know what would happen? Probably another civil war. All right, let's look at this. I don't think I got that. And what is this? Oh, yes. Okay, this is by Destiny. She is an RN, and she has her Bachelor's of Science Nursing. I'm just going to leave this here. WTF, they finally admitted it. The definition of death by COVID-19. Yeah, what is their definition of death by COVID-19, and who is counted as having died of COVID rather than something else? Did you know that if you commit suicide and you're also positive for COVID, that you're on your death certificate, it'll say COVID? Yeah. So anybody that has COVID at the time that they die, the death is ruled as COVID. Doesn't matter if you have 10 gunshots in you. If you had COVID, well, then you died of COVID. Seriously, I'm not putting you on. Now listen to this and you'll see that...
in Cook County. Are you familiar with this case? If so, is this the state's first teenage death? And can you tell us if the teenager in question had underlying conditions?
Okay, we're going to get a definition now of how you can determine whether or not someone died with COVID. Very simple.
I I don't have that information at my disposal at this time. I know we have had people of all age groups die. I just want to be clear in terms of the definition of people dying.
Okay, here comes the definition of death by COVID.
Of COVID. So the case definition is very simplistic. It means at the time of death, it was a COVID positive diagnosis.
That means no matter how you die, as long as you were positive for COVID when you died, you are a COVID death. Even if you got in a car wreck or you fell off a cliff, for whatever reason that you died, as long as you had COVID, it's counted as a COVID death. Listen.
So that means that if you were in hospice and had already been given, a few weeks to live, and then you also were found to have COVID, that would be counted as a COVID death.
There it was. Mm-hmm. Okay. She's going to make it more simple for us.
Means that if technically, even if you died of a clear alternate cause, but you had COVID at the same time, it's still listed as a COVID death.
So technically, even if you died of an alternate cause, if you had COVID when you died, it's called a COVID death. You wonder why the numbers are messed up.
Yeah, that would be why. So let's just, extrapolate from there. And let's just say that I go to a local place to get tested and they say I'm positive, but I don't have any symptoms and I think probably the test is wrong. But I decide to go out to the ocean and go swimming, and a shark bites my body in half, and half of me washes up on shore and the other half is never found. They're going to put on my death certificate that I died of COVID. Yeah, I guess the COVID just ripped my body apart. I don't know. So, and, or if you fall from an airplane, maybe your chute doesn't open. COVID. Yeah. And they want us to trust them? I don't think so. I don't think so. No. I think I'll pass on that. All right. Let's go back, make sure we haven't missed anything, because goodness knows we don't want to miss anything. And let me see if I have anything else. Oh, I got to show you this. Oh, yes, this is this. Steve Scalise, Cuomo's nursing home scandal is bad when even Democrats in the New York State legislature are holding hearings to investigate the thousands of seniors killed on his watch. This is just the beginning. He won't get away with this. Oh, I hope not. If that was my mother, my grandmother, anybody related to me, I would be livid. Well, I'm still livid. Nobody deserves that. Nobody. And he's responding to Zach Fink, who said the New York State legislature will hold public hearings on how New York Governor Cuomo administration handled state-regulated nursing homes during the outbreak. More than 6,000 seniors died from coronavirus. The hearing will be held August 3 and August 10th, part of a series of COVID hearings. He better be held accountable. He better be. Or I'm telling you, this country's going to lose all hope in the justice system. And the last thing for tonight, and it will give you a laugh, I hope. Why Biden no get virus? He sniff everybody. That's true, isn't it? Why Biden no get virus? All right. Oh, I guess I have some stuff down here as well. Yeah, Newsweek. I'm not going to go out and read this, but Newsweek is claiming that scans reveal that over half of COVID patients have heart damage. Now, it doesn't say, did they have heart damage before they got COVID? Like, was the getting COVID necessitated by their heart disease? Like, did it lower their immune? Did it whatever? Or did they have perfectly healthy hearts and COVID damaged it? I don't know. But it's very interesting that over half of them have heart damage. And I'm going to leave the rest for tomorrow because it's getting late. And I think that you all know what happens to me when it gets late. Because yes, the last video I did, that is proof positive. Proof positive. And anyway, it's been a long day too because I've been worried about my stepfather, and but he did come through. He's doing very, very well. Last time I heard, which was just a few hours ago. So that is good news. And tomorrow I have to take my mother to some appointments, but I should be home in plenty of time to do. I'm going to get up really, really early to do the research, and I should be able to bring a video. I don't see any reason why I could not. So there you go. And you guys have a wonderful evening. Please stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because deception bites. And it does. But one thing I want to note is that if there's something in particular you want to know about, I can't promise you that I'll look into it because there's so much, and just keeping up with the news alone is overwhelming at times. But if there's something that you're particularly interested in or that you've heard a little bit about and think that it might be something good to look into, let me know. Doesn't mean that I'll necessarily do it, but it kind of is in the back of my mind there, and I'm able to kind of determine what kind of things you're interested in and what you want to see. So if there's news that you don't want to hear or wish that I'd stop covering, then please tell me that too. I'm not a wilting violet. I'm not going to get all upset and cry myself to sleep on my big pillow. What's that from? So I Married an Axe Murderer. I know that sounds like an awful movie, but it's not about that at all. And it's absolutely hysterical because it has Canadian's Mike Myers in it. And it's a hysterically funny movie to me. But there's a scene in there where he says, he'll be crying himself to sleep on his big pillow tonight. And I don't know why, but that's always stuck with me. So I'm just saying, I'm not going to be crying myself to sleep on my big pillow. So yeah, I don't, I have fairly thick skin. So anyway, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. I wish that I could give more to you, and I'm hoping to be able to because I want to step up my game as soon as I get all this health stuff with my parents over with and have a little bit more time to myself. All right, well, you guys rock, and I will see you in the next video. If you like the channel and you want to be subscribed, make sure you stay subscribed because they do drop subscribers on me. And also, if you wish to support the channel, you can support it on Patreon or via Coffee. Links are in the description. And thank you guys so much. Those that do support this channel in one way or another, I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate all my listeners. You don't have to support us. No. You're welcome here. More than welcome. Always. So thank you guys and good night. Oops. Don't you hate that when you're trying to end it and, you know, you just make mistake after mistake? It happens. What is going on? Never mind. This is going to work. Really. This one's going to work.